Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, February 15th, 2023. It's the side piece day. No, I'm messing. I said yesterday that if you got a cancellation, that you were supposed to have some plans last night and they got canceled, and maybe we'll do it tomorrow or next weekend, you might be side piece day. No, I'm just messing. Good morning, everybody. It's We Need to Know Wednesday. A different approach to wellness today. I have a brother that I have seen from a distance for about a year, if not more. We are both proud members of Boston While Black. Shout out to Boston While Black. Anybody that peeped over from the Mighty apps there, welcome to the Java Cafe if this is your first time. But I've known this brother more through conversation and just sort of hanging out and talking and building. And he has a very, very interesting, challenging approach to wellness. A lot of the conversations I've had with him have caused me to be very real about some things. We talk about wellness on the surface and we self-care, we hydrate, we're eating right, we're going for walks, but are we really doing the work? He also does some body work as well. But are we doing the work around being real about the things that contribute to our trauma, the things that make us who we are, our experiences? And so it has been a few great conversations. And so we've talked about the fact, hey, come into the Java Cafe and just have some of this conversation. And as being two males, I think it's important that some brothers hear his perspective as well. And so without further ado, it is my pleasure and honor to introduce to some and present to others. He doesn't have a doctorate degree, but I'll go ahead and call him. Y'all know I usually throw a doctor in front of folks' names. But Carlin Barrett is with us this morning. He is the CEO, founder, entrepreneur, owner for Three Body Wellness. And Carlin, this has been a couple of months in the making, and so this is about to happen finally, sir.
Yes. Excited to be here, man. Thank you for having me. It's an honor.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man. Just jump and to some extent, not all the way. Act like this is just a me and you convo, but not all the way, because you know me. But
I'll try to keep that in mind for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, man. But listen, if it's something that's going to help the community and folks that are listening, definitely we can stay and go there. But tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and I'll go into some questions about why you move in the space of wellness and things like that. But say good morning to the folks.
Yeah. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Carlin Barrett. Like Jimmy said, I'm the owner of 3R Massages. Well, used to be 3R Massages. Now it's Three Body Wellness. We can talk about that as well. I'm 40 years old. Originally from Jamaica. I came to the United States in the early 90s. And so I've been here in the US since about 1990, and we're now in 2023. So for all points and purposes, I am American, or Jamaican American, as they would like to say.
Jamaican.
Jamaican, yes. The accent comes out only when required or necessary. But raised in Boston, high school. After high school, went into the military for 4 years, served in the Marine Corps. After that, went into UMass Boston, have a degree in sociology. And after that, worked in the federal government for a couple of years and realized it wasn't really where I wanted to be. Saw an opportunity to go into body work for massage. I went to that school, fell in love with it, and I haven't looked back since. And I'm now heading into my 7th year of practicing in the self-care and body work, wellness field, if you want to call it that. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because within the military, or let me frame it like this. Up
Yeah.
until 8 years ago, where did you think your career was going? And I asked that to lead into what switched. Was it just the workshop? Did you always have this dedication toward wellness? What was the transition period for you?
Yeah, the transition period for me was really about self. Prior to really getting into the massage school and practicing that and just kind of living my life, I was over 220 pounds. My most, I think I was like 240, 250.
You work,
Yeah,
Colin?
most people get that look when I tell them
Yo, me and Tashad
before
would
this.
be like, wait, what? Oh wow.
When I tell them this, they're like, "There's no way." But yeah, no, I was a lot bigger. I was at 240, 250. A lot of people say, "Oh, that was a good look for you, and you look good at that size." But I didn't feel good at that size, and I wasn't happy with it. And so, prior to that, the career path or where I saw myself was definitely. I thought about doing the government, doing the 20 years in the government. Thought about doing it in the military, but some things, nothing really crazy happened. But they didn't want to give me what I wanted when I wanted it, and so I was like, well, I'm out. And so I thought about going into the federal government and doing that, and all those things were kind of going and were feasible. But at the end of the day, I just really wasn't happy. I didn't love the 9 to 5. I didn't love the boss and the environment of the federal government, just kind of working in general. And I realized that I've always been an individual. I've always been one to do my own thing and kind of carve my own path. And so that's what really happened with regards to the wellness. Once I got introduced to the school, I fell in love with the school, the Elizabeth Grady School. Shout out Elizabeth Grady in Malden. I did their massage program there, and spent maybe about another year working for the federal government before I was like, okay, I want to get off on my own and do some more things and experiment some more and just really get more into the self-care aspect. There were some other things going on in my life at the time. And so it was just really a complete kind of shut down and reset, right? It was like, I just really started thinking about why was I in the condition or the shape that I was in? Why was I in chronic pain and not happy with it? Emotional things. I just gotten out of a long-term relationship that I was questioning like my instincts and how I was feeling and how I was responding to things. So all those things were the catalysts that were like, okay, what am I doing? Is this all there is to life? Getting up, going to work, coming home and hanging out, suffering with chronic pain and suffering with aches and pains that I kind of feel like I've had almost all my life or most of my life.
Yep.
And what could change about that? And so massage really helped introduce me to that change. And then from massage, got into yoga, got into some esoteric information, got into some uh, Buddhist practices, Indian practices, the yoga, the principles from yoga. All of those really enlightened or helped encourage me to be more open to exploring just different things. And then through my own experiences of these things, right, I started to see some truths that I believed in, that I felt were true, and that helped to help validate things for myself, but also help change and expose me to new things that I was then able to say, okay, no, this holds merit, this has value, and I want to continue down this path to see where this leads. So that's really what it was.
Let me jump in and ask you this, because what you named, and thank you for transparency, what you named about weight and joints and pains and food and things like that, a lot, and we talk about this often in the Java Cafe. A lot of folks are at that point, and I'll use myself as an example. And we've talked. I'm at the beginning, sort of first, second, third grade, maybe of on this wellness journey, and so. What would you say to folks that are at a point of realization and attempting to make a real transition? What would you say to them if you were sitting in front of a class and it was get your life together 101? what would be
Yeah.
the first opening sort of statement you would make to that class?
Well, you got to make that choice. That's what I would probably say. It has to be an individual choice. It has to be a conscious decision that you really want to change, and that you're gonna take these steps. You have to recognize that, the change is not going to happen immediately. You're not going to wake up today and say, "Oh, I want to be different," and by noon you're going to be doing all the things differently, right? We definitely have patterns and habits, and if you're not conscious to them, you will live your life in those patterns and habits. And it's not until you really decide that you want to change, something has to give. I can speak on for me again. All of this is really life experience for myself.
Yes.
I've gone to the workshops, I've taken some of the classes, and so I do have that academic background as well. But for me, everything has been verified through life experience and just what I've learned and seen, and how it's translated into my life to help me move forward with a lot of different things. And so, lived my entire life up until about 2014, 2015 was when I really started to make that change. So all up until that point, I wasn't always the happiest. I wasn't always the best in terms of like feeling really positive and moving forward. And, that really did bother me and affect me quite a bit. Not a lot of people saw it. I don't think really anybody really saw it, because as a Black man, you're not really supposed to be expressing, or we were told you're not supposed to be expressing those feelings and showing people that you're sad or being emotional or any of that other stuff. So, it wasn't until 2015 when the bad breakup happened. I didn't love the job anymore. I was contemplating what I was doing with my life. And it was in seeing all those things, learning and remembering the connection to my body, starting to do more self-care work. And the self-care work was really what introduced me to the connection to my body and to what I was feeling and to like the emotions that I was having. And it was making that choice to practice some of these things, fasting, trying fasting, experimenting with fasting, experimenting with eating 1 or 2 meals, doing the body work on the self-care that really helped me gain access to how I was feeling. So the first thing I would say is like, you have to be committed. You have to decide that you're going to do it, and then you have to sit through it, because it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be quick. And until you create the new pattern, you're equally liable to just continue to repeat the old patterns.
Okay. So one of the spaces, or one of the words that we use often around wellness, is mindfulness. And so what I heard, not just in this, but when you were talking before about your journey, I heard, and you just amplified choice, but I also heard a level of grace that
Yeah.
you have to get to a point of choice. One of the other things I just want to raise is, by my observation, my own life experience, and what you shared, a lot of times this drastic headed toward a 180 toward our wellness often comes post some interesting life experience, tragedy, and it just
Yeah.
it's usually a health scare.
It's usually the catalyst, right? It's usually the thing that you're like, all right, I can't keep doing this. Oh my gosh, I almost died. Or oh my gosh, I'm thinking about taking my own life. Or, something just doesn't sit right. You've known it hasn't sit right for a long time, but you've continued to just keep your head down, keep the blinders on, and pushing through, because especially as people of color, that's what we've been taught, keep your head down, do the work, it's going to be all right, have hope, have faith, it's going to be all right, keep doing the work, and things will work out. Yes, and that's a great positive thing to have sometimes, but you have to be realistic about it too. And like, we have to get to a point where we're willing, one, to ask for help, but to two, even acknowledge for ourselves that we might need help, or that we need to do something different. And I think that's what the biggest thing was, seeing that I had to do something different. I couldn't go out to just work every day and just kind of live this life of working for service, and not even like service for others, but just working as a service to do. And that's what we do. That's part of the American life though, right? We're chasing, we're all out here chasing the bag, chasing the dream, chasing the money that's going to give us all the things to keep us comfortable and keep us in this happy place. And you can't really live comfortably, be safe, or be happy in America unless you're making that money. So, they're out there chasing the bag, and unfortunately, that's not always the answer.
Absolutely. And let's just say before somebody will try to point, they go out and try to start an LCC tomorrow.
Yeah.
I heard on Java with Jimmy that my self-care is embedded in the fact that I'm no longer working for the man. No, that's not what we're saying. Everybody's
Right.
journey doesn't include entrepreneurship, though I think for a lot of people, the rigor of 9 to 5 and the capitalist and working for somebody else is a valid reality. And I would also say even more so with what happened with COVID. People weren't in the office, they were working from home, had more flexibility. The past 6, 9 months, a year, folks are back in the office and whatnot. And so I just wanted to name that as you were talking. I could hear somebody being like, well, maybe I need to quit my job, and that's going to be no, you're gonna mess yourself up.
No, it's definitely a hard choice. It's definitely a hard choice. Yeah.
So I heard choice, I heard grace. Let me ask you this, because am I right in presuming, and I'll give folks some context. So the reason I chose the theme of woke wellness.
So we're gonna have to have a conversation about this definition of woke, because that definition has been all over the place lately. So I want to know what your definition of this woke wellness is, and we can go into there. Yeah.
Mine is, so my definition, the reason I was comfortable with that, and let me give a definition of, in this context of woke, is when I became aware of the term that being woke is that you are aware and you are real and you give some context to history, the present, and also toward, and in this particular case, when woke, around racism and black men being killed, toward equitable life. And so when I say woke wellness, it's more like a reality and a jarring to the folks that say, I focus on my wellness and I practice self-care. But are you really? Are you really doing the deep rooted work that's needed to associate your past, physical experiences, emotional experiences, how it's hiding up in your shoulder, how it, you lean and makes one side of your body higher than the other, sir, that you helped me realize. And so that is what I want to be clear about with woke wellness, as far as like, I hope that folks walk away today after listening to us with a jarring that it can't just be I'm drinking 8 ounces of water every 2 hours. It can't just be that, I go to my physical appointment. No, I might need to go to therapy. I might need some body work,
I don't just go for body work for my birthday. Yeah.
But so let's start to go there about, based on the definition I said to you around woke wellness. I think we have some context of why I chose that out of our conversation.
No, for sure. I mean, I definitely also have my own definition of woke, and the definition of like general, what I feel is like a general modern definition of woke today, right? Because I don't know.
Please share.
Yeah. So for me, my definition is pretty similar to yours of woke, in that, somebody is aware, they have self-conscious awareness. They're taking those strides and efforts to be present to the situation that they're living in, and they're making conscious changes, right? They're choosing as opposed to reacting. And then there's also the modern definition that we hear today in a lot of these things, where they say the woke media, the woke liberal left, right? And there's a whole lot of negative, I feel like now for me, negative connotations towards woke, which I'm gonna be honest, I don't really see the left. I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna say it. I don't see the woke left liberal people as really being woke. I see them more as, we're just going to follow this mob and we want to be a part of the group. So we're going to agree and say and do all the things that they say and do. But I'm awoke because I'm agreeing with everybody. And this is the new language we're using. And this is the new things that we're doing. And so because I'm part of the team, I'm woke and I'm present and I'm here. But you're really not, because you're just repeating the same things that everybody else is repeating. You've lost your foundation of where you want to establish yourself, and like what morals and habits and conditions that maybe your parents taught you with. Maybe those were the foundation that you have to completely reverse, right? I'm not saying all foundations are good foundations or positive foundations, but at least you had some sort of foundation. And honestly, in today's woke liberal media, I don't feel like a lot of people have that foundation. They're just repeating and going through with what everybody else is saying so they can maintain as part of this community, right? So when I saw your woke wellness, I was like, wait a minute, what's the definition of woke here? Like, what are we getting into?
No, I ain't gonna set you up, man. I ain't gonna set you up.
Yeah. So, definitely woke wellness. Again, for me, is along with your definition, you're making conscious choices. You're being present to why you react to things that you do, and then are you reacting or are you acting, right? Or are you responding consciously, or are you just reacting to your trigger and the emotion that you had from when you were 5 and you got scarred, or when you were 12 and you got scarred, and now this is how you react to the situation because this is the first time that you had to deal with it. It left you emotionally scarred, and now before you even give the person or the situation an opportunity to, is this person treating me the same way that the other person that I was 5 treated me? Or are they treating me the same way? Are the words that they're using having the same definitions from when I was 5? Or is it a completely different definition for today? Because that's going to give you 1 or 2 different responses. And most people don't choose how they want to respond. They just react. And so, you can't be woke if you're just reacting to everything. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing today.
I think that's a good sort of summation of how you drew the analogy of, being woke and the leftists and whatnot and following the mob. That's sort of the point that I'm making when we follow this thing of, at one point, people didn't go to therapy, and then therapy became sexy. Everybody has a therapist and blah, blah, blah. And so, but I have to highlight, if you listen to him in the last 2 minutes, when he made the correlation of what you experienced at the age of 5, you're now 35. I'll use an example of a partner. If you were 5 years old and your dad was verbally abusive, you think you got over that. Now you're in a female in a relationship and you're dealing with a man that is verbally abusive. There's some you got to wake up. And that is the context of what I'm talking about. You just demonstrated what I meant by woke. Just going to the massage therapist, just drinking water, just eating your dark green vegetables is not going to do it. It's all inclusive. Hence, I think that you change to 3 body wellness. And I'll go in that because I'm curious about where the 3 came from. But this is an example of the woke part of wellness. It's that deep, some people call it shadow work, behind the scenes work.
Shadow work, holistic self-healing. Yeah.
This is it. Come on.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Holistic self-healing, shadow work, all these are different names for kind of the same thing. I wanted to touch on that example that you just gave really quickly with relations to the father being abusive to the daughter as a child, and then them growing up into a relationship. You mentioned the partner being abusive or verbally abusive, and that is real and that does happen. And of course, that's going to trigger somebody because you're experiencing those same words. But another part of that too is you have a partner who isn't abusive, who doesn't come at you with that energy, but because you're so used to receiving that energy and expecting that and assuming that that's what somebody's giving to you, even when this partner is coming to you and saying, "Good morning, baby, how's your day? I'm so excited to see you and looking forward to all these great things," all you're hearing is, "Why aren't you better? Why aren't you doing this? This is upsetting me." And so then you react to that you're feeling, as opposed to what the person's actually saying, and really being aware and present to what they're saying and not what you're responding to. So I just wanted to touch on that as well. But to the other part of what we were saying, I forget your question. Sorry, the last part of what you were asking.
It wasn't so much a question. It was, and what I'll jump to what I heard just in your last response was that our trauma and experiences cause us to be somewhat conditioned.
Yes.
Things. And we are, you move in body work. There's muscle memory. The brain and the
Yep.
heart. Would you agree that the brain and the heart got muscle memory too? And you know
Oh
what
yeah.
but bye.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we're used to that. And and I've seen memes of where, the girl is not going with like the nice guy and the nerd, but she goes with quote unquote the thug, the one that's
The
all hard.
thug, the street boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When she
Yeah.
gets older, the meme basically says, wow, I should have made a better choice. And so there are there is some historical context to sometimes making bad choice, making we could make better choices if we did the woke real work toward our
Yeah.
wellness, because we would begin to see things. And let's talk a little bit about this prioritizing ourself, like in a
Mm.
more selfish, what's another word close to selfish, self-centered,
Self-centered. Yeah.
like,
just
is that
just an
appropriate?
engaged way. Yeah, it's such a shift, right? And I'll keep talking about me because that's really what I have for the foundation. Growing up from my family, I have both parents in my family in my life, and I have four sisters. um I was the second to last child, and so I was the
Don't pay
spoiled
attention to the
Jamaican.
comments. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I know that
No,
may
no, you're good, you're good.
they enjoying this. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, I was a spoiled Jamaican boy, the only boy, four sisters. But along with that, I also had to learn how to provide and give to my sisters as well. And so even though I was the boy and, the West Indian culture, like he's the pride and joy and everybody takes care of him and does all this stuff, I still had to take care of my sisters and I still provide for them. And so it took me a while to learn how to be truly selfless too and selfish. And that was part of my journey. And even still today, I'm still supporting and helping my sisters as best as I can whenever I can. But learning how to be a little bit more selfish, a little bit more engaged with myself, not just to be constantly trying to please and make everybody else happy, but really touching into the things that needed for me and make myself better. And so that's really what selfishness meant to me. With really just engaging in how are you feeling? Is this something that you want to do or something that you have to do? Or is there an expectation that you have to do this? Do you really want to do this? Is it okay if you don't do this? Is it okay if you do this? All those things, like it really took me a while to accept that it was okay for me to say no, I don't want to do this, or no, I don't have this extra money to provide to you at this time, because if I did, I'd be putting myself in an even bigger deficit, right? But when you have family and you have expectations and you're expected to provide and assist, it's kind of hard, and so you put yourself in those negative situations, and 5-10 years later you're still dealing with it.
It's so interesting because I think, I believe we both came up in sort of Christian backgrounds, and there is that servitude piece.
Yeah.
And anyone in the helping field usually has a heart that will deny oneself and go toward, doing the work. You cited in the making the choice to be selfish around a tangible thing, money. Sometimes it's time. Talk to me a little bit about selfishness in the non-tangibles.
Selfishness in the
Protecting,
non-tangibles. Okay.
here's another sexy term. I'm protecting my
Yeah.
peace. Are you really?
Yeah.
Are you really protecting your peace? Because the ability to say no for some causes anxiety. So let's just be real that sometimes
Mhm.
people have to balance what they want to fight with.
Oh yeah.
I'm one like that. I'm on a road where to my nose are becoming more frequent. I don't have to be at every event, though some say it looks like you are. I don't have to be at every
The
event.
same.
Yeah. And so let's talk about woke wellness in the non-tangibles, protecting your peace, not availing
Yeah.
yourself to absorb. And you want to help people, but right now in the moment, you got your own stuff you're dealing with. Should we be selfish there too?
Yeah, I think we should. But I mean, I think it's in space, right? Like it's in what you really understand what your capacity to do is. And I think that's the first part. You really, really have to understand what your capacity is. And if you know you can provide a resource and be of assistance in some level, then you give that level. And if you know you can't, then that's the part that it really calls on you to be intentional and to be honest and say, hey, even if a simple no, you don't have to give a definition or explain why it is that you can't. You just have to say no, and you have to be okay with that. And that's a practice. That's a new conditioning that we have to give ourselves, because I say no. Well, I won't say all the time, but I just said no to my sister yesterday, and even still today, I'm like,
Did you
I could
struggle? I was
still.
gonna say,
I,
did you struggle?
oh, it was definitely a struggle. Like, it wasn't a struggle in the saying no, it was a struggle in the after effects, right?
Okay.
Man, she could really use this. I can give it to her. Yeah, I might suffer a little bit, but like, I'll be all right, because I'm always gonna be all right. Like, we have community, I have community, I have friends and family. So, I've always been okay.
Mhm.
But it's really, do I want to put myself in a deficit
In the
to
long
help
run,
somebody? And say again?
in the long run, it's going to mess you up when
Yeah.
it might not be
Even though I'm trying
available
to
in
help,
case.
even though I'm trying to help you, and I don't necessarily have it available. Maybe I do have it available, but giving it to you is gonna hurt me. And then the next time, I'm gonna be even in an even worse position to
Exactly.
provide assistance potentially, right? So it's really figuring out and deciding what your capacity is, and then sticking to that.
It's
Yeah,
interesting because Heidi jumps in and says family dynamics. I think that,
yeah,
honest and transparent, family dynamics, as you were mentioning your sister, it is for me sometimes where I'm a protector. I'm the oldest boy, and I've had to make the decisions that my mom raised them as best they could. I've been part of back into them, and they're now grown. Am I going to always be there? And in the worst case scenario, show up and support? But family dynamics do play a huge role because you don't want to be perceived as not caring. Like when
yeah,
I've said no before, I've sat on my couch and been like, I don't want them to think that and I have the ability to do it. I just usually would hustle to find a way. So anyway, we're getting to wow, this time went by quick, brother.
yeah.
And it
I'm
sounds like
looking at the
you're
time
getting
myself.
some background there. I'm looking, I'm like, it's 9:35 already. So this goes to the fact that you and I have talked about. We maybe next month have you come back and let's continue this conversation. I did want to mention to folks though that in the comment, I didn't pin it yet, but if you look at scroll all the way up to the first comment, if
Mhm,
you want
mhm.
to reach out to Brother Carlin, there's a link to the website there. His website is Three Body Wellness, and you can sign up for massages. You can sign up for, I think you do yoga. You tell the
Yep.
folks, tell
Yeah,
us
yeah,
about Three Body. I'm sorry. You do it.
yeah. So Three Body Wellness, like I said earlier, it was originally 3R massage, and you asked about the threes and what that all means. So 3R massage initially was recovery, relaxation, and rejuvenation. And from day one, I was really into the interconnectedness of your physical body, your emotions, and then your mental or energetic connections, right? And I kind of feel like the energy and the emotions could be intermingled, but it's really your physical body. So the 3D world that we exist in, your senses, your the energy, right? So the spirit, what drives us, what animates us and gives us life and energy to move, the breath that we take, and then the emotional component or the mental component, which is the memory, is how we function. It's the conscious and the subconscious. So those all are interconnected. And for me, initially, 3R massage was my introduction to all of that. And it was my focus on body work, because massage was what I was licensed to do, is what I wanted to get into. It was the practice that I was building. And so I've done that now for over 6 years, going on to 7. And with a recent training and upgrading and learning a little bit more. And from day one, even with 3R massage, I knew that wasn't the final goal. Like, I knew I didn't want to stay focused on massage, because even in the title 3R massage, people are thinking massage. And like, yes, I want to get you in the door. I want you to start to experience what your body's feeling and start to assess some of those things and find those correlations. but I knew that wasn't the end goal. And so Three Body Wellness came around as we were rebranding and trying to think about how I want to space that. And I did want to acknowledge the three bodies. I did want to acknowledge the fact that they're all interconnected. And this just gives me a broader scope to say, this is wellness, this is body work. Yeah, you come for the massage and it gets into your body, but then going deeper than that, doing your own self-work, you have to determine, why are these chronic pains here? How long have they been here? What are they associated with? And really, if you give yourself enough space and time to engage with yourself in that capacity, that realization will come to you. It's a conscious thing. It's an effort thing. You can't just continue to like go through your day. Yeah, I'm in pain, but I got work to do, so I'm just gonna do the work, and the pain is gonna go into the background, and I'm not gonna pay attention to it. You got to engage in it. You got to understand, oh, this pain has been here since X, Y, and Z, right? You know, whatever the situation was, whether it was an emotional thing, whether it was a physical thing, but that pain has been there. And until you really process it and allow yourself to come to the root of it, and this goes back to the shadow work, same terminology, getting to the root of the issue, finding out where that first seed got planted, where those roots took hold, and where it grew into this like habit. And this is who I am now, that we tell ourselves, this is who I am because I can't change. You can change if you decide that you want to take a look at that root and make a decision about how much does that root affect and how much does that root dictate your life. Because you can cut off the leaves, you can cut off the branches, but until you remove the root and pull it up from the roots, then you know it's going to always be able to grow back and maintain a space in your life. So that's what the Three Body Wellness is all about. That's why I do the massage, the body work. That's why I do the yoga, and that's why I do the mindfulness. And the mindfulness is just personal experience, sharing information that I think people can connect to and people can understand to make them more present and aware. You know, you come see me once, twice a week, maybe once a week for an hour, 2 hours. That's great. You're doing work, you're moving forward, you're taking some actions and progressing. But honestly, if you're just coming to see me, you're not doing nearly enough, right? It's because I see you 1, 2, 3 hours out of the month. How many hours is just going off a 40-hour work week out of the week?
Yes,
if
sir.
you're not spending more time processing what you're feeling and acknowledging these things and making conscious decisions about, okay, this was traumatizing to me, but I'm not in this position anymore, so I don't have to react this way every time.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not making those steps and trying that, you know, it's not going to always be perfect. You're definitely going to react and be in your feelings and be emotional, but then you have the opportunity to look back on that and say, oh man, I didn't pull it off that time. I was definitely being emotional, but now that I remember it after it happened, maybe next time when it does happen, I'll be more present to it, either in the middle of it or maybe even before it. And then I'll be able to make a better decision or make a more conscious decision to not react that way. And so that's the work, that's the journey. And, you know, that's what I'm trying to introduce people to and get them to be more intentional on themselves, which I know is hard. People work, people have kids, people have families, and we prioritize ourselves last more times than not. So, or at least not first, right?
Yep.
And so it's a shift of being selfish to say, I'm going to prioritize myself. I'm going to look into what's going on, and I'm not just going to react to everything anymore.
That is responses, you know, in many things, responses is always key. I just wanted to get one point of clarity because I told you these folks go in and check everything. I put the link in on the Pocket Suite, but I think is this one. This is the link that I found that worked for now. The yellow and black website is the yellow and black. Okay. All right. Because Heidi's trying to get to you.
Let me see if I can put it in the chat myself, because I think the other one that you just used might have been an older one. I might need to update because I think you got that from my
the Pocket Suite I got from your signature, but I went in on Google and just Google up. So Carlin is on his phone, and that's why he just disappeared real quick, but he'll be back with us in a second. And so to Tiffany's point, absolutely, we got to start somewhere. And I think in the beginning, I don't know if you heard Carlin talk about choice, but then we also got to give ourselves grace. And so okay, there he is. He's back again. When you're on that,
trying to do too much.
you're good. I told him he was on the phone, but is this the proper one for now?
You can use that one for now. The
Okay.
other one that you put in, if you can put LLC at the end of the wellness, I
Okay.
think it'll work.
All right.
That was the only change that I made, and I don't think I updated that on my email.
So
So that's probably why it was on.
let me what you call it. Folks know that I do stuff. I'll research an article, put up a link in real time, and we'll fix it later. Okay, so LLC.
Okay. Yeah,
Heidi, go test this one and see if it works, Heidi, for us, please.
yeah, please. But the 3R massages should work as well. Yep,
Okay.
LLC. That one
Okay.
should work.
Okay. So that's the website you guys can go to and check out Brother Carlin. This will not be his first and only time with us. He will be back again, hopefully this time next month. What Wednesday is this? The third Wednesday. First Wednesday is committed. Second Wednesday is committed. If you're open, man, we can give you
Yeah, I was a little nervous. I'm not gonna lie, I was a little nervous.
nervous.
Yeah, man, I'm
Not
always
now.
nervous. Not now. I'm
Oh,
comfortable now. Yeah,
nah,
we're
brother,
talking. Yeah.
you
But
really
prior
can.
to this, but I'm definitely interested in trying to have some more conversation and getting a little bit deeper into some of these things because it's definitely needed.
Yep.
And
And
I'm interested to be part.
we're going to do a couple of after darks with you, so we can, really do
Really going. Okay.
some
Okay.
woke wellness. And so, Brother Carlin, I appreciate you. You all, please share your thoughts about what he shared with you today. I did put a question up early as we get ready to go. So ask yourself this as we get ready to wrap up this morning. Are you really committed to your wellness?
Yeah.
Here in real time, Patty is
Are you happy with being in chronic pain all the time from all the things that you're doing?
well.
Yeah.
Woke. You're gonna make them wake up, Jesus.
They got to, if you can't feel the pain in your body, how awake can you really be? How awake are you really being present? If you're ignoring all the pain and just moving through life, oh, this thing has been here and it's never going to go away. It'll go away. You just have to work at it. I've been doing this for 7 years. I've been doing my own self-care. The progress that I've seen in removing chronic pains and conditions that I thought I was going to be stuck with, I thought was just a part of my life. And the progress that I've seen it's hands-on. It's like a personal experience. You have to experience it for yourself. You have to be willing to commit. I'm still not 100%. I still have chronic aches and pains, but from where they were to where they are now, and with the constant work that I see is constantly happening, I know it's getting better and I know there's improvement. I know there's change. So, again, that's my validation to know that this stuff is true and that it works because I'm doing it for myself and I see the outcome. So I know if you put in this work and effort, if you try to address these issues and you really be intentional about addressing the issues, you will see improvement.
So we can just lift our hands and give the benediction right there, because that's all that needs to be said. Brother Carlin, I am so looking forward to these continued conversations. A lot of folks I know from being and commenting on other shows where folks have come in, their commenting definitely shows that there was a intersectionality, there was a touch point made, affirmations with some of the things that you were saying. And so, that's the goal. Impact. If there's 1, 2, or 3, somebody's life influenced by what we're sharing and talking about, we met the assignment. So Brother Carlin, if you could hold next the third Wednesday in March, I am focusing morely on women for Women's History Month, but maybe we'll have a subject from a male perspective about.
I mean, why can't men talk about women?
Sisters.
Women talk about men. Men can talk about women. That's my opinion, but I could be wrong.
About 98.6% of my population is women. So no, it's about 50, but we could have that convo, but that might be you might have to put that at 8 o'clock instead of 9 a.m.
Listen, women are about 98% of my audience as well. And so I'm constantly engaging with them and working and trying to help them recognize some of their things. And they're living in a completely different world today than they were 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. So, the conditions are real. They suffer through a lot of conditions, fibromyalgia, which doctors tell them they don't know what it is, but we'll just cut it out. And, that's not necessarily always the best route to take, cutting something out to remove a tension or remove a pain. instead of actually like really figuring out what that pain and what that thing is and why it's coming about. So, I'm very open to having these conversations and talking about some of these hard things.
Need to get
The
on.
last thing I want to say is, the body work and the approach that I take and where I'm coming from is just one method of self-care and wellness and growth and realization. And so, there are a lot of different routes for a lot of different people, and not everything is necessarily for everybody. At least I think everything can be for everybody because we're all people, and we're all sharing the same space. But as conditions, might not work for everybody. So if it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. This has worked for me. It's worked wonderful for me. And I've been fortunate and lucky enough to engage with some clients that they say it's worked wonders for them as well. And so I continue to provide that.
You got testimonials right here. Tiffany J is in the building. Tiffany will be sure to let you know what night we book Carlin for After Dark. And folks said that this was great this morning, and so
appreciate it. Thank you guys. Yeah, thank you.
Really
thank you, Tiffany.
This is going to be, I think, these next couple of months because it's a paramind, not paradigm. Yeah. It's a paramind shift.
Yeah.
And so, that I think this is going to be beneficial. Okay, Wendy Michael Dupole just booked her appointment.
Yeah. All right. I have to go check the app and confirm that. Appreciate you. No, I mean, like, I have to confirm it. So I know you have.
He has a whole setup. You got to sign a document to make sure that, like, Carlin, got his stuff together. And I will say, I spent 2 hours on this brother's table.
Appreciate you for sharing. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, I was embarrassed because I heard myself go. So, I
didn't even tell you about the smile on your face.
You're lying.
No, I'm kidding. Most people do when they're getting that massage. There's this unconscious smile that comes on your face, like your lips just roll up. I love to see it because I'm like, okay, that means they're happy. That means I'm doing something right because they're just.
Man, after about the first half an hour, 35 minutes, I was done. I was like, oh my God. So, brother, I appreciate you. I can attest to the fact of your impact in my life sitting right there in that living room. We've had some very deep conversations. And so I appreciate you, man. I'm looking forward to our convos and more convos in this space. We're just going to have to keep in mind.
Same.
Yeah. Here, we got to remember that we're I appreciate
you. Got to be mindful, man. This media world is no joke. Yeah, this media world is no joke.
Yep, I told you what I saw earlier, so we'll leave that an insider between you and I.
Yeah.
Brother, I appreciate you.
Folks, I appreciate you as well. Thank you for having me.
And absolutely. And check out this brother's website. Look at the services that he offers. And let's just also say this is a Black-owned business. So
yes.
You're doing
it's a Black-owned, it's a veteran-owned, it's whatever you want to call it to get it in there. Yeah.
Come here. Listen, do it, brother. I appreciate you, Carlin, and I'm sure we'll be texting later on, just checking in after today, man. But I appreciate you. This was definitely good for the audience and definitely good for me as a reminder of some things that we've talked about. So I appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you as well. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you, man.
All right.
Listen, folks, share this with some folks, some brothers, sisters that need to hear this perspective about being real around being well. I was talking to the Your Healthy Java team yesterday, and I'm like, I'm going to switch. Shamika, what's up, hon? I'm going to switch the advertising for Your Healthy Java. Yes, we'll advertise who's coming on, but we're going to start trying to get us to understand that our health has to be a priority. All the fighting, all the marching, all the cussing, the activism, the advocating that we've done over lifetimes, decades as a people, centuries as a people. How dare us not take care of the vessel that holds the souls that are committed to an equitable quality of life and not make our health a priority? And as I'm talking to y'all, guess who the biggest center point in this screen is? So we got to be here to reap the benefits of everything that our ancestors, our parents, and to see the benefit of what the next generation is fighting for. Health and wellness has to be a priority. That's woke. I don't know how I got there, y'all, but we will see you guys tomorrow morning. Reverend Mariama White Hammond, who is the Chief of Environment and Climate, and I'm probably jacking up her title. She's the Chief of Environment and Climate. And let me just say this. We need to pay attention to climate change and environmental issues. We do. As Black and brown folks, we got to stop this narrative that climate change is just a white progressive priority. We all live on this earth. Truth be told, we were some of the first ones here. So I'm going to get off of here before I get in trouble. And yeah, we will see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with Reverend Mariama White Hammond, who is the climate environment person for the mayor's office. And she's coming to talk specifically about a lot of these increases in electricity bills. And I believe she'll be presenting some options through some programming and some partnerships and collaborations that the city of Boston has, I believe, with the possible potential another alternative electricity provider. And so she'll be with us tomorrow. Thank you, Pastor Marion. She said good trouble. Heidi, you're absolutely right. And where's Miss T? I didn't see Miss T in here this morning. I see Heidi referring to her. Oh, there you go. There you go. Tomorrow's going to be now here's the sad part. You see how I just got excited when they said tomorrow's going to be in the 60s? I'm like, oh, but then immediately your thought is 60s in February? Something about that ain't right. And we really didn't we had that one cold night or cold weekend that y'all had. A little bit of snow. So we need to pay attention to this stuff. All right. Excuse me. I am definitely getting off of here, and I will see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Thank you for tuning in. Hit Brother Carlin up. Go in the comments. He may go back and look. I'm not sure if he's on Facebook. But, let him know if something helped you today in today's conversation. We better not have no blizzard. You remember April Fools? We had that blizzard. 60s in February. Absolutely. 60 Sharon. I'm not even going there. So we're going to get ready to wrap up this morning, and we will see you guys tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with Reverend Mariama White Hammond to talk about climate change, environment, electricity providers, and probably a few other things as well. All right. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks for tuning in today. Have a great day, everyone. Peace.